Oh, yes.
Respectfully, I went live on mine. I was like, "Where's Leeds?" There was like 30 people there. I was like, "This guy ditched me," and then I just
No,
like,
I'm over here now.
yeah, yes. All right, so everyone will go live and they'll join in. So yeah, let's get it up and spam all Boston page. I got a little group. What's going on?
Chilling,
What's
man.
up?
I'd like to welcome everybody to the Leeds Edutainment Podcast, brought to you by Chubby Chickpea, with very special guest, rapper, among other things, independent grinder, hardest working man, Kosha Dillz.
Yes.
How are you?
Good.
Was that
Good.
introduction
I want to
okay? Or, do you want me to redo it?
It was a solid introduction. No. That's a solid introduction. I'm just checking.
I figured with the holidays and everything you've been doing, it was time that we talk, because we've known each other for a very long time, actually. I'm thinking I've known you pretty much as soon as I pretty much got started throwing shows, probably 15, 16 years ago.
15 years. I met you in 2006 at the Great Scott. I remember the show.
C Rayz Walz.
C Rayz Walz.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. C Rayz Walz. Another show. We've seen the internet transcend. We came out in the MySpace era.
Yep.
You know? And yes, remember that show. I mean, because I don't think you were even, I had just got sober maybe like a year and a half earlier. So I was like touring on probation, which was like really, if you think about it, I had to go get paper signed to like leave the state to go do the show. And there were certain rules. It was like if you were like staying over, but if you could like finesse it and drive, it was just like what you started doing,
I think that's a great.
But yeah, man, been a long time.
I think that's a great tour name, touring on probation. Like, surprised I haven't seen that yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I haven't actually met any rappers
tour.
that were like, yeah.
It's the touring
I haven't
on
met a lot of
probation tour. I mean, come on.
I haven't met a lot of people that got off probation, and like didn't get arrested again. Or, it seems like most people are staying on probation.
Yeah. Luckily, I never was on. I should have been on probation, but luckily I got lucky. For people that don't know, I like to go back always. I always say this. Give a little backstory for people that don't know you. Born in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, born in New Jersey.
Israeli parents.
Israeli parents.
Is it true you speak like 4 different languages?
I speak 3.
I see English, Hebrew, Yiddish, and Spanish?
No, the Yiddish, I don't know how that got in there. I rap. I have this rap song that has.
Oh, Dillz, we lost you.
Sorry about that. Let me make sure. I have some format on my phone, so I'm going to have to keep touching it. But yeah, basically, I'm trying to just get better lighting as well here. There we go. Let's see. Set the mood a little bit. Your lighting is great.
I got natural lighting going on here.
Yeah, I'm in some messed up New York buildings. So basically, yeah, I just, incorporating the languages and stuff. And
how'd you learn those?
My first language is Hebrew, Spanish, 7th grade. And just, there's a thing in your brain when you learn languages at a young age that you could remember them. So, I mean, that's basically it. Like, when you start early, I speak Spanish all the time. People don't really know I speak Spanish. I wouldn't say my Spanish is perfect, but I mean, I can go anywhere and speak Spanish pretty easy. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you can use it in New York and LA, like, every day. So,
I mean, I took Spanish in high school. I didn't retain any of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the basic, like, hablo español, but, like, other than that, like, I can't speak it fluent.
Yeah, my family's just comes with languages. 3 languages is a flex. It's a flex, I think,
Some people just can pick it up, I noticed. Like, my old boss could speak, like, 7 languages.
Yo, my mom speaks 2, my father speaks 4, my grandparents spoke like 7. You start fleeing countries to go to another country, and Poland, Russia, Hungarian, Romanian, and this whole area is switching countries at that time. Next thing you know, you know them, more languages.
Well, I think that's the reality of it. If when you're in it, speaking it,
yeah.
you have to, you learn it pretty quick. versus, well, I get
Yeah, I
around
mean,
to learning the
hip hop
Spanish
is its
music.
own language. Freestyle rap is its own language.
Speaking of that, they say you discovered hip hop at a bar mitzvah. Is that true?
No,
Like a
I mean
funky
it
beat?
sounds funny. It's like I
You
don't
had a
know
bar
what
mitzvah and
I
it's the
don't
first
know
time you heard it?
what the Wikipedia is like. I don't know where that came from or who did the first one, but like basically I think at that time, like in seventh grade, eighth grade, ninth grade, it was like I was into pop music, like Ace of Base, and like I
Yeah.
just like those beats, like which is not ironic that I'm rapping over kitschy stuff like that as an adult, but like then like the real hip hop shit came like 17, 18, 16, Wu-Tang, Boot Camp Clip, Original Gun Clappers, like now you're going into like all
It's a
the
broad range. Ace of
most
Base to Wu Tang Clan. That's pretty
yeah,
impressive.
no, but I think I was like in the in between. So
But
that's
you were more mesmerized by the freestyle art, right?
I started freestyling ironically the show that we did because of C Rayz, because no one cared about any of your songs because no one knew any of your songs. You know what I'm saying? Like no one knew my
Right,
songs. People still don't know my
right.
songs. But it's like freestyle, like you know what I mean? So then they want to at least listen to your songs, and then they see your show so dope, then they go listen to all your songs and become fans of your songs. They come back again. Now they know some songs. I don't say it's the best formula, but that's just like the formula I took.
Yeah,
People are like booking you for a show before you had the songs to play at the show.
right.
You know what I mean?
That's a big thing in the underground scene. Um, it also says you saw Doom. I also read that you saw Doom in concert. Is that true? You saw MF Doom in concert? I've
MF
never
Doom?
seen that. Did he actually show up? Like,
Yeah,
was he
yeah.
there?
It was a famous. You should actually look into it. It's a famous concert. It was Wetlands. It was like Yak Balls, Lewis Logic, um, Nonfiction, Cage, uh, Ill Bill, and MF Doom. It was like 2000 and Necro. I remember like seeing moments. This was like it was the year 2000 and Sage Francis.
Yep.
It was like
Yep.
the most legendary underground rap show ever.
And
And
Doom wasn't that big at that time. I mean, he was big, but not like what he would become
yeah,
in 2000. He was kind of making his way just like those other guys in that era.
yeah. I mean, but that was just like the show, the rap show of like underground rap shows.
Yeah,
That was
that's the
the
mega. How was he live? Was he good?
I don't even remember. I just remember like bits and pieces of that show. I mean, I was like getting high. I think there was like there was a battle there that I was trying to enter that you had to put in a lottery, which I didn't get in. I remember like going to the bar and getting a White Russian with my friend. Like this shit. I guess remember bits and pieces of that show. There
Yeah.
was a fight. Like, surprise, surprise.
Necro in the fight. Probably Necro was in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, Shout out Necro.
Um, but yeah, that was like the moments of time of underground rap.
So I think this transitions well because you said you can't really remember it. You obviously you've been pretty open about having a substance abuse problem and
hmm
actually getting into trouble and going to jail. How did that all happen, and how did you end up stopping?
Um, that sort of led to like I was like in two scenes. I was like in the underground rap scene, and then I was like college sports and like EDM. It was, because that was like the New York club scene at the time. Um, and then I got arrested for selling ecstasy. I think like I was 19 turning 20. Yeah, it was like 2002. So, I was going from like rap battles and then 2000, then I got out and then 2004, my last time getting arrested. And I had done time. I did time for my first offense. I know it's like, you never do time for your first offense. And I wasn't.
How much did you get caught with? How much did you get caught with?
Not a lot.
So,
15
so
shows.
they
Yeah.
threw the book at you for that?
Yeah. At the time it was just like, Jersey. I was like the Jersey Shore guy. I was like on the cover of the newspaper, and it was like, it was like they blew it out of proportion. I feel like everything has its waves of what's popular.
Yeah.
right? You know, on in the news and media. And at that time, that that was what was popular, like the commercials, the anti-drug commercials for like ecstasy and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So like my daughter was a cheerleader and she died from ecstasy. It wasn't heroin. It wasn't they didn't have the heroin commercials yet. Now it's like totally
Yeah.
different. But at that time, you know, there was a whole era of that. And then I just graduated to, you know, the next scene. And at that point I was like, all right, you know, I don't want, now I'm going to go to state prison for like a long time. And that's the last time I got caught with, you know, in a worse situation than the first time. But because I got clean and I like voluntarily put myself in like behind bars or behind in like an inpatient, and then like I went to jail and this, that. So, you know, that was just the end of it, really. That was basically the beginning of the end, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
And
it's.
it's
I mean, that'll wake you up real
so
quick. How many years? How many years were you in there? 2 years?
there was in between the 2 years. I mean, I was only sentenced to 9 months for the first offense, and then you go on parole and probation, so you don't end up doing that much. But ultimately, the amount of time that you could do just if you get high is like drastically. It's actually so fucked up because if like you get high, you just put
Yeah.
you in jail longer. So it's just a bunch of people in jail that just want to. I mean, it doesn't even make sense, but you know, that's just the system. And I was like, I'm not cut out to go to state prison for like 5 to 10 years for, you know, I was like in a sting operation where set up. So, you know, that was it. That was the end of it. So that was the end of July, and that's been like 17 years ago, you know?
That's crazy. So you've been sober ever since you got out,
Yeah. And
or
then
you were in,
I
or
met
you went
you
in.
not even a year and a half later. So you got to think that Boston show was a year and a half in. You were still
Right.
getting,
Yeah, I wasn't sober.
yeah, you were
But
not.
yeah, because I mean, I remember you because you were first starting. Go back to this now. You were first starting. You were booking shows for yourself, but you were working with C Rayz. The album wasn't out yet, but you were just doing these shows with C Rayz. And you know, C Rayz was obviously a big underground hip hop legend in Boston because he had worked with Detonator, and you know, he had just done a lot of shows in Boston, so it made sense.
Hmm.
So you know, from there we did a bunch of different shows. The album that you ended up recording an album with C Rayz, right? Like
Yeah.
freestyle versus
Freestyle
rap.
versus written.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
How
was,
was
that was
how was that
great.
process?
I knew that C Rayz would be like physically incapable of like really doing an album with me, so we recorded the album in like one day, or like I did all my verses, and then I was like, "Well, you could do all your verses in one day. We could write all the songs, or you know." Um, he, uh, he, I just, it's interesting because he is like a dude who's been through all kinds of trauma. I mean, he's locked up right now. I literally just spoke with him the other day, and he was at that time he was on fire. Like he was on MTV's Made. I remember him, he had a million people, new people were recognizing him in the street, and I think from there, you know, I just kind of knew that I could kind of work with a bigger artist and get my name in. And I also couldn't complete a project by myself. I didn't understand how to like release a project, mixing and mastering. I was just like uploading raw tracks to MySpace and understand sound or anything. So from there, you know, just just like how we lurk on people's Instagram pages now, and you're like, oh, who's that person? Who's this person? And you like click on their page. That's what we did with MySpace. And I would just see like people being like, come to Boston. And then I'd be like, oh, this is interesting. You know, let's set a show up. You know what I mean? I want to go to Boston. And I would help set it up, facilitate it, and then I would come along for the ride. And that's kind of how I got on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I did
Yeah,
that
I think that gave you
all
some
across
early.
America.
Yeah, I think that got you some early booking agent skills
Hmm. Seriously. Yeah.
from that process, right?
Yeah.
I just want to backtrack a little bit because there's one point I want to bring up is, you know, that I find interesting is you weren't originally Kosha Dillz. You rapped by a different name, right?
Yeah.
What was the name?
I was Katie Flow. KD Flow. That
KD
was the
Flow.
name.
And you said again in this, I don't know how accurate this Wikipedia page is, that you were at one point ashamed of your Jewish heritage.
Yeah. No, it's chill. I
Explain
just
that
didn't
to
want
me.
to. It's like, you don't want to be like, every time you're like, oh, Kosha Dillz, like you're Jewish. You're like, and it just becomes a whole discussion. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't
Right.
want to like talk about it. Like, I just wanted to have the name. You know what I'm saying?
But it says ashamed.
Yeah, it's definitely like a lot of like shame. I just don't want to like deal with being harassed. You're not like proud. I would say maybe less really proud. I don't want to say ashamed technically.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good point you make, but I think it definitely, I had this whole discussion with someone the other day of like, well, in Variety magazine they just did this interview, and they chatted about, we chatted about it, and then it was like, when I came out of jail the last time, I was like, yeah, we're going full body, hard body Kosha Dillz. And even if you look at my PayPal, it's still the same PayPal from when I started Matza for Your Mouth Records. That was my first like record label, my PayPal. And I mean, this is like when people were PayPaling me in 2005 for records.
Uh,
That was it, you know, like it was like hardcore. I was really looked up to like nonfiction in the early days, because they were like the first people to kind of like publicly be like Jewish gangster type kind of vibe. Well, the
Jewish
brand
goons.
was,
Jewish goons.
yeah, it literally, yeah, literally, that was it.
They
Jewish
are the
goon.
original goons.
Yeah, but and I was like, oh, I identify with that, like the guys from, you know, Goodfellas and the Italian movie, like that. That was sort of like what I was like. I could get this could be like a good stepping stone for me, and it was like that, and then it was like Matisyahu, so it's like two different things, you know.
Well, I think it's funny because you
Yeah.
bring up Matisyahu because you guys had a Matisyahu song on the C Rayz album, right?
It wasn't that. It was on the Mr. Green. No, was it Mr. Green's album? No, yeah, it was. It was a C Rayz album. It was me. It wasn't that one, but it was me, Mr. Green, and C Rayz.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Matisyahu.
So. Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because you come out as a Jewish rapper. You always were, but you after jail you come out pushing it heavier again. Matisyahu at this time comes out as a Israeli reggae singer, correct? Like,
Mm-hmm.
was that his? Would you claim the same? That's how he was marketing himself.
Yeah, he was. They marketed him as.
Was he Hasidic
I mean,
or
he
was
was
he?
the Hasidic Orthodox reggae.
Yeah, that's it. I figured there was a better term for it, which was a big deal at the time because I remember people all over that talking about this guy because of that, because he was Hasidic reggae artist, and I feel like that was his thing, right? And he pushed
Mm-hmm.
that thing heavy, and people loved him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then he kind of stopped pushing that thing.
Well, this is
Eventually.
the thing. I mean, people want you to be one thing forever. Like, imagine if Eminem wasn't one thing forever. I mean, if you don't grow out of your thing for 20 years, I mean, just this year alone, I've been like 8 things. Like, because I was one thing for so long, and now I'm like, oh, why don't you try dressing like this? Why don't you try doing it like this? Why don't you start figuring out stuff, but it's hard to really, the Orthodox Jewish thing is huge because it's just like no one expects that, and if you really break the mold and break into pop culture as something that no one expects, Modesty, I was on Kimmel, people are like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? And it's like with the beatboxing and stuff, I mean, it really shook the world. No one saw anything like that.
Right.
I think now, then that's what Nassim is doing now. I think people seeing Nassim and they're like, whoa, this is crazy. So.
Right. From there, though, I mean, from seeing you at that point, you have been pretty much hustling your ass off.
Yeah.
I'm going to say right now, I mean, you've put out these, Kosha Dillz is Everywhere album. Let's also talk about the cellular phone song because I remember that being a pivotal moment because you had the cellular phone song featured in the Bud Light
Super
commercial,
Bowl.
Super
Right.
Bowl 46, which I think is when the Pats lost to the Giants, which is was a painful experience, but that was crazy for you to be featured in that at that time. I mean,
yeah,
a total
2012 was
independent
like
artist.
2012 was like a year for me. I felt like I was gonna blow up,
Wasn't this
and I did not.
2009
But I
on
mean,
cell
like that would
phone?
still happen. You know what I mean?
Wasn't it
The song
2009?
came out then, but the song got in the
Ah,
Super Bowl in 2012. Yeah,
oh, okay, my
the
bad.
song had come out years earlier.
Right.
That's what I'm hoping for. Like, that's the cool thing about the music is that it could just continuously be used. So if it's going to be used for forever, I mean, your song from this year could be used 3 years from now. I mean, like my Hanukkah song, I don't know, maybe Adam Sandler would be like, yo, man, I finally heard this song and I want to use it in my new Hanukkah movie. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Eight Crazy Nights Part Two.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And
How
then the
did you
song
get it?
agree blows up and you're like, yo, that's
How did you get it in the commercial? How did you do that? How did you make that happen?
Jesse Shacken did.
Okay.
Belief did stuff like on the early Def Jux stuff. Belief, Jesse Shacken, he just does stuff for like everyone. Sia mostly. He just, but he's finally he started with underground rap. I mean, he did the C Rayz record. He had a record on his own, Worker B Records. It was with like Wordsworth, and um, he produced for LP, I think, at one point. This is just like the early days. And he did C Rayz, and then I linked up with Belief to record. He was a really great engineer. He started doing the music licensing thing, and then that's pretty much it. You know, so kind of like really, really just ill. I really just fell into it, and
I mean, I gotta ask, was it a decent payday? I don't need to know numbers. Was it a decent payday or a no payday? How was the payday?
collectively we made over 6 figures from it.
Well,
So
then I'm gonna say that that's a fucking very good
no, it
payday
couldn't
in
have
general.
gone. It couldn't have gone any better, because if it went through, it couldn't have gone. No, I don't mind talking about it now, like 9 years ago. But it's like, that made you go from part-time artist to full-time artist. But what you
Yeah.
realize is, it's like I didn't really have much going for me at that time. I mean, I had a lot going for me, but like, really learn like that era of like, I wish TikTok was out then, or like, you know what I mean, or just some of the stuff we were doing then was all the stuff that goes off now. I mean, it was like Twitter was out, and they didn't even have Shazam, so like the song didn't get a million streams or anything. But it's not uncommon for nobodies to get offered 5, 10, $20,000 for things. But the real thing is to get that, and you're already making 5 and 10,000s and 2,000s. At that time, I was making fives and $20 and $100 more. So, and I still do that. I still do that stuff too. I think, like, if I want to do it, you know what I mean, and I don't mind. And because sometimes I understand like momentum, and I understand things. You're like, just do stuff now. It doesn't really matter about like, do it for free. Who cares? But as long as it's a cool thing to do. But at that time, like, I never saw money like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never.
No.
Most people, no, it's a lot, and I don't think necessarily you'll get that again. But I didn't leverage it into a publishing deal or anything, and just keep it going. In LA, you could use, your 50,000 becomes, with management becomes 40,000. Then you buy new beats, and that was 25,000. Then you live for 3 months, and it's 8,000. You go where to go.
God.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not, so, and then you reinvest it, so it's like, hey, I did Warped Tour, I went on the road, I try to like, it's like, just keep it going, but then I got on Warped Tour, so like years later, so it's cool.
Warped Tour is generally known for pop punk music and
Hmm.
pretty much alternative music.
Yes.
Now they call it that, whatever. How did you fit in with that?
Hmm.
How did you fit in?
Just being the oddball out is the way to do it,
Hmm.
you know,
Is that
being the
always is
oddball
that
out.
always
I
the
mean, I
is that
love
always the effort? Always the strategy,
the
being the
my
oddball out?
my the well, specifically I call it a League of Their Own effect. You ever watch the movie League of Their Own?
Of course.
So they don't say like hit a home run, they say hit them where they ain't. That's like their expression, hit them where they ain't. And that's kind of like my thing. Be rapping with all the other rappers. I'm just trying to rap where people enjoy rap and there's no other rappers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's a great mentality to have, you know?
Right.
And then people aren't asking to rap with you. They're like just enjoying your show. And you're like, oh, this is way smarter than going to a show with 20 rappers. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you get big in that area, and then other people, want you to come to their thing. So
From there, you end up linking up with Murs, right?
hmm
Putting out an album.
yeah, awkward in
I
a good
uh,
way.
I have a lot of respect for Murs as an independent rapper. I think he's one of his consistency over the last 20 years of being just an underground dude and just keep doing it. He does what he does. He tours where he tours every year and does the same numbers and just keeps it going. I mean, it's a pretty good. That's a pretty good person to blueprint off of, I think, for someone like you. Coming
Yeah,
up,
and
back, especially back
he
then.
was the first guy to get a major label deal.
Right.
He got a deal at Warner in 2008. So everyone's like, whoa, like we could get
Yeah.
major label deals. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's like what I looked at. I was like, dude, that's what I want. And now I think that's kind of like, I don't know, just jump to now. Like I think that's like possible now. Like I'm 40 now. I have a better chance of getting a major label deal at my age now than maybe I did now, but because of the way the world works, just like culture shifting and what the world likes to see, the world likes underdogs and they also like 23-year-old rappers that like sip lean, but like not really in the in between, you know.
Right.
So, you know, that hit Murs is really the dopest, I would say. He had this song called "The Road Is My Religion," and I was like more like I was like, oh, that's my song. "The Road Is My Religion." I'm just like, this is it, and it was just
Right.
it's a really dope. If anyone's listening, that's like the song to go to.
Yeah. He's the truth. From there, he did another one. What we got that in 2015? We got what was the name of the album? I wrote it down all day.
What I do all
Forgive me,
day
I
in
can't read
pickle.
my
Yeah,
writing.
yeah.
What is
What I
it?
do all day in pickle.
Yeah.
hmm
That title is.
Yeah,
What was the meaning
It
behind
was
that
a
title?
spoof off of it was a spoof off of Velvet Underground and Nico. Um,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, and that like it was just like another thing I did. It was like a collection of songs. I was just like I need to put something out for Warped Tour, and it came out like it was like an EP. Then I sent it to an LP. It's just like things I did. I'm just like, all right, like just got to keep it going, and I think that's just what I had to do at the time.
What is the significance of the pickle? Because is this like a Jewish thing, pickles? Because
No, I mean
I've
it's
heard you
just
mention
that was a
pickles.
banana. The banana was
Oh,
there was just like a banana thing. Like it was a banana. It was supposed to be a banana, but like we just switched it. My dude did it. He's like my designer did it, and he's like, "Yo, just do it like this." And I was like, "All right." And I like really trust my graphic designer who I've been using for like years. And he's like, "Yo, this is the one," and I'm like, "Let's do it." So
well, I've also heard you mention pickles before in other lines, especially the song we did with Sly Young, the Super Jew anthem,
yeah,
where you shout out pickles in the house.
yeah.
So,
And it's just funny that because it's just like I don't know. I mean, obviously Kosha Dillz, and I was just when I'm like freestyling and stuff, I'll just do it because it's sort of people are always referring to it. I think there is like some sort of reference of like a delicacy to Jewish people with pickles, and it's more of like a really it was more like a euphemism. Um, like it's just like I was 17 when I came out with Kosha Dillz, and just like my first MySpace was Kosha Dillz in your mouth, matzo balls in your mouth, like all that. Like that was just continuously referencing it. And it's really funny when everyone's like, "So where did the name come from?" And you're like, "Ugh," like you don't want to know. Like, I'm not gonna tell like a middle-aged woman, They're like, they think it's so cute. Um, it's jokes, man. It's jokes.
you end up touring with Matisyahu?
I did, dude, nonstop.
Let's talk about that. How was that experience?
Um, touring with Matisyahu was great because there's people at the show. He's like he has the super fans. You know what I mean? Matisyahu is just he's consistently there's consistently people. There's just people that follow him forever. So
What, any crazy stories on that tour that you can talk about?
yeah,
Or any good stories?
I just like remember like people that I would meet with Matisyahu. Like I I made this like once, like they were just really interesting people that I would have never met at like a hip hop show ever. And there's one guy and he's like, yeah, man, I just threw away all my electronics. It's like, I have nothing. You know, I was like in Asheville and I was like, oh my God. He's like, threw everything away. He's like, I threw everything away. And those are kind of like a consistency of the people I met. I met like yoga healers and just people that were like traveling around, painting, live shows. There's a whole scene of like in the jam band circuit of people that do that.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, they're just going around following, going to 10 Matisyahu shows and 12 Fish shows, and their whole goal is to go on tour without performing and just watch music. So that was like really what I would see. I mean, me and Matisyahu were in Europe, and there was like a lot of just crazy with things that were people were like, you know, you had to be careful because of being Jewish or like just in weird parts of Europe, and being with Matisyahu and just kind of like, I don't know, Matisyahu and still massive crowds being there for him, and then also just being like hyper aware of anything that could go down. And that's also like was par for the course when you go out with a big artist. And my thing was, you know, I'm just like really here to rap, but I'd say that I just posted this one video. We were in France and it was like backstage with ASAP Rocky and we just had like a jam session rapping. And I remember thinking like that tour was like, oh man, this tour, I don't know, this wasn't it. And that was like 2 a.m. after the last night before I went home, and that video happened. I was like, wow, that was the most epic part of the tour. And so, you know, those things would always happen. There was always some random thing. And Matisyahu has a lot of artist respect, so a lot of other artists would always be around. People are like really intrigued by him. It's like, oh, that was that dude that did that thing, you know, had that song. I mean, Matisyahu, talking about like viral. He was like, he played the Olympics. Saying at a time he had one day he played the Winter Olympics. So you think about like he had songs that hundreds and hundreds of millions, billions of streams. You know what I mean? It's like another level of a million, you know, or 2 million or 3 million. So he's sort of the godfather of.
And he gets a lot of
Jewish.
respect in that. And does he get a lot of respect in the reggae community? Like they like all the reggae guys.
Yeah,
like
he gets respect more than others. In the beginning, I don't think he did, but then he did so much, and he helped a lot of other people. But artist-wise, a lot of artists like fuck with Matisyahu. They're like, yo, I really like him. Dope artists, you know what I mean? Other people have their fans, right? And then their fans are like, they don't know anyone else except him. But a lot of people know Modest.
And that's crazy that you got the tour with that. That's quite
Yeah, I
an
mean, playing in front
accomplishment.
of 20,000 people after Macklemore played Thrift Shop when it came out. That was like a festival in Belgium that I did. And it was Matisyahu's 34th birthday. And he was pretty, I think he was pretty tore up. Like
On the Manischewitz?
yeah, he was sipping at Manny heavily.
The
And
Manny. Yes, the Manny, dude.
and dude, there was like 20. I was like, dude, how the fuck are you gonna go after Macklemore in 2013? Why are you going after him? But at that time, he, you know, that's what we did. So, and I just kicked one freestyle. That was great. It was epic. So you know, I would say that was one thing that was like a day to remember. I was like, wow, dude, that happened. You know, 20 some thousand people. But that was the thing though. Also, I like doing that, but then I realized that like, you know, I want to go and play my own. I think that was great that I did it, but it also took away from me trying to figure out how to develop my own style and do festivals for my own self and find my own people. So when you go with somebody else, it's cool, but you know, it's a great experience because it's better than no experience. But I do, you know, don't think I would do that now at this point in my career unless it was just different.
Right. Back to your career. Nobody Cares But You was your last album, right?
Nobody cares except you.
Except you. But you, except you.
Yeah.
Nope. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. It's true.
It's funny. We used to, back in the day, I used to do shows. There was this rapper from New Hampshire. That was his name. Nobody Cares. We used to love it. But then I was like, the goal is for someone to care though, eventually. And once somebody cares, you're going to have to change that name,
Yeah.
brother.
Well, yeah, dude, it's true. I mean, and that's what
Is
I
that how
did.
you feel? You feel that way? Nobody cares
I
but
mean,
you?
it's true. Nobody cares. No one cares except you. Once you start having a long conversation with me, you're like, holy shit, this dude really has been through it. And I think you need just an extra 10 minutes with somebody. You can't really do a 2 minute. But the thing is, first you get 15 seconds, then you get a minute, then you get 3 minutes. And now maybe they'll give you 10 minutes. And it's a slow process, you know, to get people to care. It's a slow process. You know, that's just the reality of it. And that's basically what that album is about. You know what I mean? The one, it's about, you listen to the body of work. The guy who produced that album just did Kanye's Hurricane. The people that produced that on my album are the biggest, all have #1 songs. I'm the only person that doesn't have a #1 song on that record. Everyone else has had #1 song. Matisyahu's on it, Gangsta Boo's on it, Fat Tony's on it, but the producers, Cool Kojak, Sad Pony, had #1 with Nicki Minaj and Tekashi 6ix9ine. Sam Barsh just had the #1 with Hurricane. He did 10 of the songs, and Kojak has had #1s with Nicki as well. So, you know, but nobody cares except
Okay,
you.
if this is how you feel, nobody cares. How are you so driven then? Because you're a very driven person. You're one of the most driven artists I've met. I mean,
Because I think it would be sad to sell myself short. I mean, you see me play so many empty shows. I mean, like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
I've just seen you accomplish a lot, right? And you're not as big as you should be from someone that works as hard as you. There's no doubt about it.
right. So
You
I
should
think
be a lot farther.
I, I think it would be sad that you didn't, like, you know, see it the whole way through. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're like, oh, I just do the music business now. And you're like, oh, it's so trash, dude. I think it would be selling myself short to go get an industry job for like 80,000 a year, 100,000 a year.
Which is good money.
This is good money, dude. I think, but it would sell myself short. You know what I'm saying? Like the other stuff is better. You know what I'm saying? I just think like the stuff that I'm doing now is just, it's not worth it for me, you know,
Right.
like not be trying to develop my fan base and following every day.
Right.
So when that is, you know what I mean? Like I found a way to be an older rapper. So that's it, dude.
Yeah. And honestly, the last month or so, I've seen you get more viral attention than probably anything I've ever seen you do. First with this Fat Joe rapping outside in the nor'easter. Explain to me, for people that haven't seen this, like, exactly what happened with Fat Joe outside.
I'll say it, and then I kind of have to roll, actually, unfortunately, because
Bummer.
we're doing the World Trade Center today,
Oh,
by
okay.
the way, which no one else knows except anyone here.
That's fine. Yeah, explain the Fat Joe
Basically,
thing.
yeah, I rap outside the Knicks game. Rap outside the Knicks game, and it was raining, and you know, I started going viral in extreme weather. Like I had snow videos. I had a lot of snow videos, or like the snow rapper this past year. So I was getting 50,000. I was like, whoa, I'm getting views, you know what I mean? And then from there, I got, you know, other things. And we went that same day. Mark Ronson saw me on his Instagram and posted me. And then Fat Joe just came by. I told my girl to film like the you know, it's like just film and just don't stop filming. Just don't know what's happening, you know what I mean? And Fat Joe pulled up, and the Knicks won, which was also, you know, a miracle in itself. There was an absurd amount of umbrellas, and everyone had an umbrella. And then, so there were like a lot of viral factors. He joined me. He did the verse from The Enemy, Big L, and that was it. It was a rap. It was a rap. And I knew all the words, you know what I'm saying? Enough's enough. Better. So I was like rapping the words with him. So that was even crazier for him, you know, because he didn't know. Like that was going to be like, he's like, you know, this dude's hip hop, but is he really hip hop? And yes, you know. And then that just led to all night working it on the internet. They're like, let's get this going. And people are like, yep.
He
Oh,
brought you out. He brought you out on a show too, didn't
yeah.
he?
In
He was just
Colorado.
like, "Come on."
Yeah.
What
Well,
show was
I
it?
bought a ticket to his show, and then I just, pulled up, and he saw me, and they like came and got me, and then that's it.
And what, you did a song on stage? Was that what happened?
Yeah, I just did a freestyle. Yeah, we're gonna do a song, and he had the whole crew from like We the Best, like DJ Khaled's team was there, like
Nice.
the real We the Best. There's not a lot like his right hand man. You know what I mean? DJ Nasty, and shout out to him, and he's like, yo, you're gonna go in on this, and yeah, it was another moment, and then that led to the moment now that we have another video out right now, which is really helping us out for this Hanukkah song.
Yeah, we'll talk about that real quick because I know you got to go. The Hanukkah song that you redid, you did a twist on the Adam Sandler version,
Mhm.
and you linked with Nissim Black. We'll talk about that real quick, and we can wrap this up.
Yeah, we have this song out now. We wanted to do a song that was timely for Hanukkah, and I just like developed the idea. Other people had mentioned to do it. Nassim's manager was like, let's do a remix of that. And I'm like, okay. People have told me not, but I'm like, if I could get Nassim on this and I could do it, and I got the right producer to flip the beat, they were sort of just all my go-to people. Once I got the song done and Nassim's, I did the verse, they liked the verse, then I like redid the hook. And we were like, the only time we could shoot the video was either in Israel or like on Thanksgiving in America. And then Hanukkah was like 2 days later. So we shot it on Thanksgiving. And dude, like the
In
entire,
Times Square, right?
yeah. And the entire time there were these people like the black Israelite dudes were like, you're a fake Jew. Like while we're like shooting the video. Yo, it's just, it was so fucked up just to think about how hard it was to do the video with like the reason like the Hanukkah story is about like fighting against people who, the story of Hanukkah is about like Jews taking over what was taken from them and like reclaiming it. So it's like it was like happening to us in Times Square while we're shooting it. And I think just with all the bullshit that we dealt with to shoot the video is why it's been so successful too. And like the way I hired somebody to do the video, I'm like, you have to have like no family because we're shooting on Thanksgiving and it needs to be out on Sunday. So I found a guy, I had a guy through a guy who through a guy, and the video's it's my most viral song I've had ever.
Yeah. And just the fact that
So
you were able to pull that off on
that's
Thanksgiving,
where I'm at with it.
and just the fact that you were able to pull that off on Thanksgiving that's the type of artist and the type of work ethic that can sacrifice you do for this music business, I did, and I
Yeah,
think
and I went home, for Thanksgiving that day too.
that's fucking impressive. Uh, Sammy Gerber has one quick question. Is Nassim Black actually a circumcised Mayhem Loren?
It's horrible. Not gonna answer.
Does he look like Mayhem Loren though? Does he not look like Mayhem Loren?
No, that's funny. Oh wow, that's funny.
Sorry if I offended anybody, but I did think it was a little bit funny how much he looks like Mayhem Loren.
Hey, listen.
He's like, I did a song with him. I can't say anything. It's like, I'm trying to do business here.
Yeah. I can't.
It was a joke. I hope it didn't offend anybody.
I think
but
it's
if
all
it
right.
did, I'm sorry. Kosha,
It's
man,
all right.
thank you.
No, but we'll be in Boston soon.
Yeah, I will. We got the show coming up on December 12th, and we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, but I want to thank everybody tuning in to Leedz Entertainment Podcast with Kosha Dillz, brought to you by Chubby Chickpea. Take care, brother. Talk soon.